Hey, what is up, Humboldt Redwood State Park fans? I'm Griff. I'm the Nature Guide. Look, I got my hat band now. Isn't that nice? I had it on upside down for the longest time, and then my friend here, Skip, who's the Nature Guide at Patrick's Point, had to point out that he broke his hat band, but at least his wasn't upside down like mine is. So we got a lot of work to do here and figuring things out. Happy Mother's Day. See, this is what happens. We needed our mother's help. We didn't have our mother's help, and so he broke his hat band. I had mine upside down. My mom was here. That never would have happened. So happy Mother's Day. So what we're going to do today, what's up, Lee? What we're going to do today is I was going to originally talk to you guys about something else, and Skip showed up, and I saw we're going to take advantage of this. Okay, we're going to go with the flow here. But I just want to say happy Mother's Day to you, and let's just talk a little bit about where Mother's Day came from. But before we do that, you guys know you want to look around. Lee says hi, Skip. So look where we are at. So this isn't even, once you get up against that tree right there, so this isn't even one of the huge redwood trees. This is just one of the a little bit below average redwood trees right here. But look, it still makes Skip look small. I was just telling people that if this pandemic doesn't end pretty soon, I'm going to eat all the food that I had stockpiled. And then that redwood tree is going to want to get its picture taken in front of me because I'm gaining weight with this like here. So hopefully you guys, speaking of eating, hopefully you guys are all having Mother's Day dinner. I mean, I know it's kind of hard right now because we're not supposed to be getting too close. And especially if your mother's elderly, you might not want to risk it. I went for a walk with my mom yesterday and we had to stay 6 feet away from each other. I didn't get to hug my mommy for Mother's Day. It was terrible. So Mother's Day, women have been honored in different ways in different cultures over different times, and we still have a long way to go in honoring women. Women don't have liberties all over the planet. We're going to get to some of that in a minute, and like what we can learn from cultures other than the loudest cultures, like our culture. But Mother's Day started. There's been Mother's Days in different formats, but there was a woman named Anna Reeves Jarvis, who right before the Civil War had these women work day where she would teach young women how to be good mothers. Okay. After the Civil War, she saw this and she lived in West Virginia, and she saw this terrible rip in her community and her nation, and she wanted to help heal that. And so she had Confederate and Union soldiers get together for these women appreciation days. And it was a beautiful thing, and it really worked. And so her daughter, when Anna Reeves Jarvis died in 1905, her daughter Anna Jarvis picked it up and wanted to memorialize her mom and all the good things her mom did, and created Mother's Day. And she advocated and campaigned for it to become a national holiday, to be put on the American calendar. And Woodrow Wilson in 1914 did that. And it was a beautiful thing. Even though Anna herself, young Anna, never had kids and she's never married or anything. But then Anna got dismayed and kind of unhappy that this holiday she started, that she wanted to be a sentimental, kind of like a spiritual holiday, became this holiday for candy companies and card companies and flower companies. And she really didn't like that. So she started speaking out against it. In fact, she even took some of these companies to court in the 1920s to sue them for using the Mother's Day title. And she spent a lot of her personal wealth on trying to sue people. And then at the end, in the 1920s, before her death, she was trying to get it taken off the American calendar because she said that the intention of Mother's Day was totally taken in the wrong direction. It was taken in this ultra-capitalistic direction, and she didn't like it. So it's kind of a sad ending to the mother of Mother's Day. And that was the only thing she mothered, was the Mother's Day, and that's our tragedy. So we can fix that by remembering the original intention of Mother's Day is to memorialize the healing and the spiritual, the family bond role that women have in all sorts of cultures, which brings me to our guest, who's not really a guest because he's my coworker. So, you have a lot of different cultural perceptions than, say, the average person, because you're multicultural yourself. So what is some of the backgrounds of different ways that you've looked at mothers and women's, coming from what perspective?
Well, coming from my background, I'm Yurok Indian, Pit River Indian, and I'm Mountain Maidu Indian. And I will recognize right now I'm standing on Aboriginal Lalongkok Sinkion land. And so it's a beautiful place, and I'm blessed to be in their territory and to share a little bit about what I know about honoring women and respecting women and our mothers in society.
Was there a Mother's Day in Yurok society?
It was Mother's Day every day.
All right.
Like Yurok kids were taught to wake up and think of their parents, think of their family, think of their community. How can I help my mom today? How can I help my dad today? Knowing that helping them is going to help the community, because that's what they're doing. They're helping their community be the best, strong, healthy community that you can possibly be, in harmony with the geography that you depend on. And so Mother's Day, in all of our ceremonies that we have, the strength and honor that we show women and have for women in our culture is symbolized in the regalia, in a lot of the songs, in a lot of the prayers. In our culture, women are our highest spiritual doctors, and we lift them up to the highest, at the highest status of humans in Yurok culture. And so, one of the animals that we were in relationship with since time immemorial, that taught us about being a good family, being good to your women in your family, is the otter. And so I brought an otter hide to kind of show you guys, and I would kind of ask, if you're into the nature, if you're into the outdoors, what does it, when you're taking something, what are you giving back first, and what are you taking? There's more to this otter than just the hide that I'm wearing or holding here. And sadly, our otters were, because of the worldview of capitalism, they were almost wiped out. Sea otters are non-existent in Northern California because the relationship was severed, and there was a dominion over the animals, was a new concept that immigrated here with colonizers.
So the whole when Americans got here, it was, they were here for the gold rush. It was almost like there was a greed motive to coming to California for a lot of people, and so they were looking to strike it rich, and they kind of, like, if they couldn't do it on gold, they would do it on sea otters, they would do it on redwoods, or they would do it on whatever. So it was just kind of like, it was a hungry mindset that led people here. And one that, looping back to Mother's Day, where women didn't have a very large role at all, like definitely couldn't vote, and I don't know if women could own land at that time. I think they could own land at that time, I'm not sure, and so they're colliding with these other cultures like the Yurok culture, who had high status for women and mothers. And also was, you're saying, like, think about what you could give back. So, like, what would be example of that in, like, taking the otter and turning it into a quiver? What would be the reciprocal relationship?
Well, you'd always make sure that the otters had offspring, viable offspring first. You would never just take an otter just because you saw it. Bam, it's mine. I saw it, I take it. You would build a relationship. You'd get to know that otter, and you'd make sure that you're not taking like an adolescent otter that didn't already propagate the new future otters. So you'd actually watch for seasons at a time. A lot of times things grow up so that you knew, oh, he had offspring. His offspring's going to continue his family name. And before you take, a lot of times they would take both the male and the female, because you wouldn't want one to die of a broken heart. So we thought about the emotions of the animals, because they taught us. Another thing that we take from the otter, not just their physical beings, is the lessons that they teach us. Otter mothers are beautiful, cute, but they are very, very strong, and they are fierce warriors. They will fight to the death of any animal to protect their family, their kids. They're also very, very loving and playful. They clean their otters constantly. They're always playing. They're joyful critters. And in the world, it needs joy. It needs that. And we learn that by watching the otters. They teach us how we're supposed to be to our kids. They mate for life. They are family oriented. And the men will sacrifice themselves to perpetuate the female and the kids, their safety.
The sense of place that you're describing is like hard for most Americans to even fathom, because we move all over the place, and we're immigrants here in the first place. And then plus, like, we often move from town to town to town to town. And you're talking about, like, living along the river and noticing otters and noticing their families and noticing the right time to, like, when you do have to use them, because the otter pelt, like, had many uses, which I want you to talk about again. But these hunters, they knew the individual otters, and so they knew who they were going to go hunt before they went hunt and hunted them. They knew where these otters hung out. They knew when the babies were weaned. So this sense of place and this relationship is like something that's really hard. Even me, I'm a lifelong naturalist and wildlife conservationist, and just like to have that knowledge, I don't have that knowledge of anywhere, and so like to have that knowledge, I can't even imagine the intimate connection that they must have had.
Well, I would challenge you and everybody else out there, because everybody has that power inside of them to see the world from a different perspective. And I invite you guys to explore the Yurok cultures on the internet. Make sure you check your resources. But the Yurok tribe does put out a lot of good information about themselves, and there's a lot to offer in our culture and stuff. And we are in a time where the knowledge that Indigenous people had about their perspective on relationship and being in a sustainable, balanced continuance with this world, we're in a dire place right now where we are in desperate need of that information.
Yeah.
And so I challenge everybody to just go think about it. If you're hunters or fishers, it's not just about taking something, but building a relationship. You have a relationship with it, and that it should be reciprocal. Before I go harvest anything, I sing a song. I'm a singer, so even just that energy of me before I harvest something, it's a plant, it's a rock I take, the pretty rock, I'll sing a little song, say something, just give something from your heart. And I invite people to try it.
It sounds like it's kind of like, in modern terms, we'd say like getting out of your own way, like not being so egotistical when you are going to collect anything, just like acknowledging its existence, its liveness. And it only, it takes such a short time, but you connect to things. I imagine that people would feel way more connected. And my grandfather was a hunter, and he was not Indigenous, but he would always tell me when I was young, like, if you don't kill anything you don't eat, so if you're not going to eat it, do not kill it. And I think that even that relationship is far healthier than just the exploitative, like, catch as many salmon as you can so you can take them. I mean, I worked on a fishing boat and salmon fishing boat, and like, we didn't have a spiritual connection with the fish we were catching. We were counting dollars. And that's the mindset that's leading to the depletion of our natural resources and the animals around us, which from your perspective would be more than just natural resources. It'd be like what would it be to you, family members, or what?
Well, in a way, I mean, you think about if the exploitation of there are no sea otters anymore, the ocean people now, they've lost the lessons that those families of otters can teach us about life too. So now we lost our relationship with something that says joyfulness in life is important. Protecting your family and life is important. Look, those guys are showing us right there. We can't look at that anymore. So for money, for dollars, right now, you can wipe out future lessons that tell people how to live healthy, tell people how to treat their families right and stuff like that. So it's, you lose a lot more than just the physical
tool or implement.
Yeah, because this is a cool tool. Otters are the densest hair. There's 1 million hairs per square inch. They're waterproof. So back in the day, there was no Bic lighter or Zippos or magnesium sticks. You had to know how to make fire with what the nature gives you. And if you were in the rain, which Humboldt County, there's a lot of rain up here.
It's rainy. It's like a temperate rainforest. I'm surprised it's not raining right now.
I know. But you'd want to keep your fire starting kit dry. So the best place to keep the fire starting kit dry is in a waterproof backpack. So you'd have your otter hide quiver. It's just like a backpack nowadays, and throw it over your back, and you can take your fire starting equipment if you're going to move, go camp somewhere to hunt or gather something, or if you're on a way to visit relatives or to go trade. You got your fire starting kit all protected in your otter hide quiver. They also use them in ceremonies for spiritual reasons, and I'm going to share a little bit more about that in future Facebook lives.
Awesome. So if people, so Skip and I are both interpreters for state parks, and so Skip is at Patrick's Point. It's called Patrick's Point right now, and that is in north of McKinleyville. And I'm at Humboldt Redwood State Park. I'm also at Richardson Groves and Stanishiki and Sinkyone sometimes. But Skip will be a regular visit to all the Redwood parks. And so if you haven't had a chance to visit us and visit Sumeg Village, you can do that and see Skip. And so Skip, when would be the time that we're like, I know right now no one's going to parks, but say like they opened in July or something and we don't know when they're going to open. But so like if we had a normal summer, when would be the time to come see you?
Tuesdays and Wednesdays right now are my days where I'm out at Patrick's Point in the village doing hands-on, because I'm an interpretive maintenance specialist also, so I do hands-on repairs of the unique replica village, Yurok village that we have there. There's multiple structures made out of redwood plank that very few youth like or younger people like me know how to take care of. So Tuesdays and Wednesdays, if you happen to be up in this neck of the woods and the parks are open, come visit at Patrick's Point State Park and look for the Sumeg Village, and or ask any of the people around, where's Skip, and they'll point you in my direction. And I do just general tours to anybody that comes in. I'm going to start scheduling regular tours that I will be there, or we have 2 other Yurok descendant interpreters that are also going to be available to do in-person tours of the village.
Shout out Princess and Maiya.
Princess and Maiya, yeah. And so they're those 2 days, the days I'll be out there for the summertime, and I'll be hopefully broadcasting a lot of the stuff that I do. I haven't made up the schedule yet, though.
Awesome. Well, thank you for doing that. And you know, it's like we can. We're at an interesting time in our society where there's 7 billion of us, and so we all need to share our ideas, our best practices. And so Skip's teaching us some Yurok best practices and some Indigenous best practices, and so we can evolve and become solutionaries together. And because we have a lot of challenges, especially right now, y'all inside the house with the COVID virus, him and I are trying to maintain our shelter, our distance. We forget sometimes, but it's like we have a lot of things that we need to solve, and it's going to take talking to everybody and having everybody's voice included and doing things the slow way. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And so for a lot of our major problems, we all want answers really fast, but it's going to take talking to the Indigenous people and listening to them, because we didn't, Americans, my relatives were here in the 1840s and 50s. The Native Americans weren't listened to, and we missed a lot of stuff, and our land is suffering from it, and our people are suffering from it. So if we can get together, share ideas, and you can come to the parks, and part of the park's mission is education. You come here and learn. It's not a terminal visit. You're not coming to the parks and seeing a tree and leaving. We want you to be transformed and to learn stuff. And so we welcome you to come here. Come to Patrick's Point, Sumeg Village. Check out Skip. Check out me.
Got one more thing to add on that.
Okay.
Well, in that sharing ideas and perspectives, I want to emphasize the leadership. There's leadership roles. We don't want to appropriate stuff from Native communities. We need to put them in leadership roles.
Amen.
And specifically our Native American women. That is a crucial missing element in all layers of our society's structure.
Right on. That's a perfect send off for Mother's Day, so thank you for that.
Love you, mothers.
Happy Mother's Day. Love you, Mama. I'll see you guys later. Tune in next Friday at 3:30 and Sundays at 3:30 for more from me from Humboldt Redwood State Park, and Skip too. We'll be doing Sundays at 3 as well.
Yes. Very soon.
All right. Bye-bye, y'all.